Hi, and welcome to the Syntergy Replicator demonstration. During today's demonstration, we will replicate changes bidirectionally between two of our web applications. The first web application is our corporate portal, and this would be located along with our corporate headquarters, wherever that happens to be. The second web application is our London branch portal, which is based out of London, England, in one of our field offices. We're going to manage Replicator today, especially for the corporate portal, using our corporate office's central administration page. When we click on Application Management, we can see that all of the Syntergy Replicator pages and tools are located right here under Application Management and tightly integrated with central administration. The nice thing about that integration is that as a SharePoint administrator, I don't need to log into a separate website, nor do I need to launch a separate tool to manage Replicator. As I'm working with my web applications and monitoring my SharePoint environment, I can also reconfigure Syntergy Replicator and monitor replication at that level. So let's begin our bidirectional replication by just simply uploading a document to our corporate portal. Now we will do this in the same way any end user normally would when they're working with your SharePoint environment. So I'm going to upload a document to our home page. While we're here, I'm also, just to show the variety of changes that Syntergy Replicator can replicate, I'm going to change the site theme. And let me just change it there, and I'm going to click OK. So while this is being applied, I'll just talk through what's happening behind the scenes with Replicator. So as users are modifying the corporate portal, Replicator is capturing those changes, and then when it gets enough of those changes, it packages them up and it transfers them to the other web application, the London branch in our case. Once that package is received in the London branch, we expand it and then we apply those changes using the SharePoint API. We like using the SharePoint API because it's a clean interface and it's kind of the best practice as prescribed by Microsoft for making changes programmatically to SharePoint environments. We also like it because it's the closest analog we can get to actually having a human being uploading documents on the London portal to mimic changes made by a user at the corporate portal. So I'm going to jump over to our London branch portal, and I'm just going to simply reload this page. When I reload the page, we can see that the theme change we made earlier has been applied. As well, that document that we uploaded earlier has also been replicated across. So to ensure bidirectional replication works, we're going to check out this document, and we can see that that little arrow indicates that that document has been checked out. I'm going to quickly jump to our monitor replication page to see if I can capture this event as it's being replicated. So from this page, we can see all of the packages that have been replicated so far during the demonstration. So we see we have two outbound replication packages, and that would be when we uploaded the document and when we changed the site theme. We currently have an inbound package which contains that checkout event, and looking at the state and status, we can see that that document has been captured on the London branch, we've packaged it, and we've transferred that package. We are now currently in the process of applying that change from the package on the corporate portal. If I refresh this page, we'll see that that package is now applied and completed, and if I go back to our home page and refresh the corporate portal homepage, we'll see that that document is indeed checked out now on the corporate portal. One key thing to take away from what we've seen is bidirectional replication occurred without any real interaction from the end users who are working on their local SharePoint sites. As my users uploaded documents, changed the theme, and checked out those documents, they did it using SharePoint and had no real awareness that Replicator was running in the background. There was certainly no additional work that they as end users had to do to ensure that replication took place. They just worked with SharePoint in their usual fashion. Replicator worked behind the scenes to ensure that users in each location had local access to the content they needed to do their job. Now that we've seen bidirectional replication take place, let's look at what was done to configure that same bidirectional replication. We like to say there are 3 steps you must perform to configure and enable replication. The first one is to enable your web application for replication. The second is to connect your web applications to each other. And the third is to map the SharePoint content that you want to replicate. So let's begin with that first step. We're going to enable our web applications for replication. So I'm going to click on Configure Web Application. And now that I'm looking at the web application, all I need to do is click this Yes button and then click OK. That instructs Replicator to work behind the scenes to configure the web application, create virtual directories, and perform additional administration tasks to support replication on that web application. The second step is we're going to connect our web applications to each other. That's done through managing replication connections, and I'm just going to look at the existing connection that we already have. When you're creating your connection, really all you need to specify is the protocol that the other web application is currently using, if it's HTTP or secure HTTP, the DNS name that we will be connecting to that web application with, the port number that that web application listens on, as well as a user on that server that can authenticate and authorize this connection. Once we specify that information, we can click OK to create our connection. Now that we've created our connection, the final step is to 3, map the SharePoint content that we want to replicate. So we do that through this Manage Map Families link, which will allow us to create a new map family to define what we're going to replicate. So I'm going to click Add a Map Family to create a new one. I'm going to enter a name for the map family. And then I'm going to select the scope for the map family. Now, if we want to capture everything underneath the web application, that includes new site collections, deleting site collections, adding new websites, removing websites, I could elect to replicate everything at the web application level and below. Similarly, I could replicate everything at a single site collection level and below. For our purposes, we're going to use a website and replicate everything at the root website and below that. Now, if we wanted to replicate only the contents of a subsite or a site collection that was not at the root URL, we could certainly specify the URL to that site collection or to that subsite here in this field. Since we're replicating just the root level website and any subsites below it, we'll just leave that as it is. Another thing we're going to select on this page is how frequently do we want to replicate changes. Now, the majority of our customers, and certainly what we used in today's demo, was immediate replication, which is as changes are being made, we're sending those packages across and replicating those changes. However, based on your business needs or your network requirements, you may want a less frequent replication schedule. Replicator supports a wide variety of different schedules for replication. I'm going to click OK, which will take us to our last screen. And on this screen, we get to select what do we want to replicate. So I'm going to look at these advanced buttons here. All of the events that you can capture with Replicator have been grouped into event groups, which is just a way of simplifying which events are going to be captured and replicated. However, you, as an administrator, have the ability to click on Advanced and really kind of drill down and select which events are we going to replicate. So for example, for look and feel, we might not want to replicate title updates or welcome page updates for the corporate portal to London branch portal replication. Each office might have its own welcome page format and title name that we don't want to override once we make a change on the other portal. So we could simply elect to not replicate those changes. And I'm going to click OK, which will finish creating the map family. Now that the map family has been created, we have completed all 3 steps for enabling and configuring Replicator. The first step, we enabled our web application for replication. The second step, we connected our web applications to each other. And then the third step, we mapped the SharePoint content that we wanted to replicate. That completes today's demonstration. To summarize, we started by replicating changes bidirectionally between our corporate portal and our London branch portal. Then we took a step back and looked at how to configure Replicator from an administrator's perspective. And we went through the 3 steps required to enable and configure replication. Thank you for your time.